About a year ago, I had a buddy of mine, he came to me, he was like, hey, can you build me a corner shelf for all my Christmas villages? And I was like, of course I can. I got this awesome workshop with all these sweet tools, and I have a free sheet of plywood sitting in my basement ready to go. So, built him that, and he loved it. Then a year went by, and I was like, I wonder if other people would like this shelf. I bet you they would. So this is the story how I built 3 awesome customers who pre-ordered them. Finally got it up there. So this shelf can be built out of one 4x8 sheet of plywood. As you can see, I'm actually making 3 of them. And that was because I did a pre-order right before Christmas and ended up selling 3 of them. And the first step of this build is to break down some plywood. I find that using a circular saw is usually the safest way, as a full sheet of plywood is a little unwieldy to cut on a table saw. Now the bottom shelf is actually going to be placed 2 inches off the ground to give it a little bit of clearance, so that way it doesn't have to sit completely flush or all over the carpeting. So when figuring out the placement of the shelves, I always like to do it right on the piece itself. And this piece is actually going to have a hinge in the back, so that way it can be folded and stored easily. So that means that the shelves have to be removable. And I'm just using some heavy-duty door hinges, so that way it can be folded and put away flat to save room the 10 months out of the year when it's not in use. And after getting all the wood together for the shelf supports, it was time to put the shelves in. I definitely wanted to glue them and screw them to the unit, and I had to make sure that they were parallel with each other or the shelves would not sit right on the unit. And after I did the first one, I realized that if I actually measure up and put straight edges down and clamp those into place, clamping the supports was way easier. And if you have the same measurement, you have to repeat a lot. Using a scrap piece of wood to cut to length for your measurement is usually the faster way of going about it. find that pulling the measurements off the actual piece is the easiest and most accurate way. You can follow your plans, but sometimes things get off by a ½ inch and you don't even notice it. And yes, I cut these shelves oversized and the supports oversized so that way I could trim them up after they're in place. Plywood is a great choice on this project because it stays flat, there's virtually no movement, and you can get really big panels without too much effort. But the edge is not very nice, especially when painted, so I threw on some iron and edge banding and we're ready for some sanding and some paint. And cutting off the corner for each shelf allows the customer to hide the cables from each of their villages. And just like the shelves, I wanted to make sure that you could pass the cables through the unit and plug them into the wall. Then it was time to get paint on these bad boys, and I thought that hanging the shelves would be probably the quickest and easiest way to get them done. And using the HomeRite Finish Max sprayer, I was able to put on a couple coats of paint and having it look just like it was from a factory. And pre-drilling and screwing the shelves to the unit is definitely the way to go. It helps the customer put the thing together and take it apart very easily. And also, it helps you get those product shots. And a huge thank you to the 3 of you that pre-ordered and bought these shelves. They are so much fun to make, and I'm so glad that we could have them in your home for your villages. And also, thank you to my buddy that came up with the idea last year. As always, you guys have a great time in your shop and keep building.